Okie dokie, it's still early in the morning. I was born in a house in Findlay, Ohio in 1936. My mother named me Harold after her famous actor that she loved was Harold Lloyd. They could not figure out what middle name to give me. So my oldest brother, who was 17 years older than me, said, well, how about that new Western actor, John Wayne? So they come up and they named me Wayne. So my name is Harold Wayne Weist. I had trouble going through school because of it. And I also had a little genetic problem with my hand. And it's hard for me to take notes, so I was always behind in taking notes. And by the time somebody, I'd written down half a sentence, they was 2 sentences ahead of me. So actually my education wasn't going very good. And when I was in junior high, my 9th year, the school I was in, the principal knew both of my brothers. They had gone through their school, and she tried to tell me, you know, how good my brothers were and so on and so forth. When I told her, I said, well, you don't really know my brothers because you only know them from school. Well, she got this hard on for me. I had an incident where I had injured some ribs, and the time I missed from school, she made a point that I was not going to graduate, so they failed me. Now, my parents, my dad, he was down on the Mexican border with the American Expeditionary Unit down there under General Pershing. And he said he married my mother because she was the most beautiful girl in the world that he ever come across. My parents, they were good parents, but at the age where I was born to them, they weren't really in a position to take me out and play in the yard or this or that or the other, or tutor me about things. So I started school. I missed kindergarten by a month. And so when I started school in the 1st grade, I was already behind all the students. And this continued on. Now, I do have some good memories about being in the 3rd grade. But anyway, getting back up to the point where I'm in the 9th grade and the principal would not allow me to make up work while I was out with these rib injuries. So I failed that year. Well, the next year, I was very upset, and I have to say I was truant a lot. I'm retired and didn't have much to do. I volunteered with a lot of veteran organizations and things, but I had a sleeping problem. So I would be up late at night, and I got typing out little stories about things I had learned or things I had did whatever. And I think what you might call a challenge would be like a writer's block. All of a sudden I would get to a point where I couldn't think of anything. So I would just forget about it. Could be a couple days, it might be a couple weeks. And all of a sudden, the ideas would be there. And I would sit down and then I would tweak my text and everything and add in the new scenarios and things. as I got tweaking an incident that happened to me when I was in Vietnam, and that became the prologue for book 3. And of course, after book 3 is book 1, and I had the knowledge of would relate to respectfully as peasants or rural people, and they were affected basically by when I was there by the Viet Cong, North Vietnamese, and so on and so forth. The people had a hard time because during the day they had to be had to have allegiance to the government, at night allegiance to the Viet Cong. So they had a bad life. And as I went through things, it appeared to me that this had been the same life they'd had for decades, maybe years or whatever, scores. And so the book 1, the people were actually, you would say was peasant, even though they had their own thing that they were doing. I was baptized a Methodist, and I never connected things till later on in life, but every Sunday morning, my mom would get me dressed and everything and send me off to the church. So I'd walk over to church, and they had children's programs, and I would go back home. And later on, during the summers, my mother would send me to different Bible schools. And so I learned a lot about religion. And I really believe in this. And this cross, to me, kind of symbolizes Christ on the cross. I did not try to put that into any of my exact works because I did not want to really offend anybody, because I want them to enjoy the book, not my personal beliefs. I like to look around and watch the trees, and I like to watch the flags. This is the 1805 flag, 15 stripes, 15 stars. This is the one who was flying over Fort McHenry when Francis Scott Key actually wrote his little poem. And today, there's 2 places in the United States that is authorized to fly this flag. One of them is Fort McHenry, and the other is Marine Barracks, 8th and I, Washington, D.C., which is the home of the Commandant and also the Silent Bill team. But for some reason or other, I really feel a connection to this flag, because I do love our flags. And enough people do not know anything about our flag histories or whatever. I think my writing style is because of experience. As an example, in book 2, our protagonist is a security manager in the mall. Well, I was in charge of security at a mall. So it's quite different. There's a lot of research I didn't have to do because I've lived these things. I've been there, and I have dealt with these smash and grab type people. Those experiences kind of flow because I have a feel for it. Really, they did not know exactly what I was doing, but they supported me having the ability to do something to keep myself busy. And I don't think they really understood exactly what I was doing, because it would be at night when nobody's around. the wife is in bed asleep, and I would be there just pounding the keys on the computer. So there really was no cause or effect with anything with the family. Now, had they known what I was doing, I'm sure they would have supported me, because I'm doing something and not allowing myself to go to waste, more or less. And so I think that's about all I can say as far as the family. Now, later on, I did have a little bit of flack from my wife when I said I wanted to publish Trek for the Cross. She didn't feel like I should be doing it, but she didn't understand what I felt about trying to see my book in print. My life has been turned upside down, and at times is really difficult, because I keep getting phone calls from all these different agents and things. They want to take control. I've even had them to start out saying they want to acquire a publication of my books from Fulton Books. But to me, this is kind of bogus. You just don't start off telling somebody you want to take their prize, the things that they put their energy into, and so on and so forth, that they want to take this from you at any particular time. So you have to be very wary, very. There are good ones out there, and there are a lot of bad ones. Well, things would be pretty much status quo, but what I remember best is because I would go back and edit things continually, but when I typed that last word and I said, this is the completion, I really felt an elation over completing the document. And say it was kind of a thrill, because I was not doing this for money or anything of that nature. I just wanted it to be a task that I accomplished, and that I could say, this is something great for me, something I can appreciate, that I accomplished, something that I did. They can find it online at Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and maybe some other outlets. But I would say the best outlet for it would be Authors Press. They have a very wonderful store.